Hey students, I literally just got back from the Segera region of Kenya, Africa, where I spent a few days with some of our friends in a community there that we've been partnered with for the last 12 years. We got to graduate and celebrate all that God has done as we prepare to move to a new community nearby. And you've probably heard our challenge to you as students in our student ministry before, that we want to challenge you to go on a mission trip with us somewhere before you graduate out of this ministry and on to whatever God has next for you. We want you to come to Seattle and help us with the church planting movement that's taking place there, to come to Bolivia or Bulgaria or to Kenya with me. We want you to come on these trips with us. And you've heard us probably give that challenge to you before, but today I just want to share with you of why we want you to come on these trips with us and why we feel like it is a catalyst and it is something powerful that God can use in your life. There are many reasons why we want you to come on a trip with us. And the first reason is because I want you to experience what it's like to travel to another part of the world and bring the good news of who Jesus is to a group of people or community and to share with them, and some of whom may have never even heard the good news before. Another reason is I want you to have an opportunity to use the gifts and the resources that God has given you to help other people in need, to help build a home or a school, to dig a trench or a well, to build a water pump, or to help a community to help themselves. And then the last reason I want you to come on a trip with us, and it's a huge one, it's one that you might not have really thought of before, but it's perspective. Going on a mission trip puts many things in perspective, meaning it changes our attitude towards the things around us, and it helps us and changes the way we view the world around us. A huge reason I want you to come on a trip with us is because of the perspective it will help to give you. So many times when we think about taking a mission trip, we think about, I want to go and do all these things. I want to help this group of people. I want to help share this news. I want to help them help themselves. Those are all good and great things. But a huge reason I want you to come on a trip with us is because of what I believe God will do in you. Listen, when I get to go spend time with our friends in Kenya, there are many things that I get to do. I get to spend time in the schools and in the communities to see old friends and make new friends. I get to go see wildlife and wild animals and all sorts of things. But my absolute favorite thing that I get to do on these trips is when I get to go to church on the Sunday that I'm there. It really is a glimpse into what I believe heaven is going to be like. I get to sing songs in Swahili and English. I get to stand beside my brothers and sisters who look nothing like me and yet worship the same God. It takes me about 35 to 36 hours of nonstop travel to go from my front door to get out to the community where we spend all of our time. And when it takes almost 2 days of nonstop travel to get there, it makes the world feel really big. But when I get to stand next to my brothers and sisters and worship the same God on Sundays and in church when I'm there, it makes God's kingdom feel even bigger. And it reminds me of what God's kingdom is really like. That it's bigger than Brazos Point, that it's bigger than this state and this country even. And it's moments like that that remind me of something that God said to us through the Apostle Paul that I want to share with you today. Here's what he wrote to us. He said, "For you are all children of God through faith in Christ Jesus. And all who have been united with Christ in baptism have put on Christ like putting on new clothes. There is no longer Jew or Gentile, slave or free, male or female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." It reminds me that those who follow Jesus have been forever changed, that we are not Americans and Kenyans, that we're followers of Jesus that just happen to live in America and in Kenya, and that we have more in common with some of our friends and people on the other side of the world than we do with some people who live down our street or on our teams or go to the same school as us. It may be hard to see or believe sometimes, but this is exactly what God is reminding us of. God is reminding us that as followers of Jesus, we are one. Now, being one doesn't necessarily mean that we're the same. God made us and he made you unique, and that's a good and great thing. And I'm reminded of this every time I get to go to Kenya. I get to worship with them and realize we have so much in common, and yet their culture is very different. The music that they listen to and that they sing, the way that they celebrate, the food that they eat, this color of their skin even is vastly different, and yet that's a good and a great thing. Now, I want you to know that this doesn't mean that we're called to be colorblind, to pretend like we're all the same or that we don't have differences. Listen, recognizing what is different between us and other people is a part of the human experience, and it's actually a good thing. That for me to recognize what is different between us helps me to more understand you and your context and your culture and your story, and to celebrate what is different between us, and to work to learn who you are and who I am, and to celebrate that we are and can be one in spite of our differences. Listen, perspective is powerful, and it will absolutely change how you live your life. But I want you to know that you do not have to go all the way to Africa to gain it and for your perspective to change. Just look around you as you walk through life and you will see how different people truly are, even close to you, in your schools, in your family even, on the teams that you play on. There are different people all around you. And as you notice, remember that God has made us different and diverse, and that's a good thing, and yet we are meant to be reminded that we can be united and one because of Jesus. Listen, when we live in a country that fights with itself constantly over race and politics and so many other things, we are meant to be reminded that God has called us as followers of Him to be peacemakers and to show the world and the country that we live in and the school that you attend that we can be united and one and be peacemakers with people who are vastly different from us. So I want to challenge you to do two things, students. The first is to live with perspective. Allow God to shape the way you see the people around you, the world that you walk through, and how you relate and interact with the people around you. Live with perspective and allow God to be the one that shapes it. And my second challenge to you is this: come with us. Come with us on a trip to Seattle, Bolivia, Bulgaria, Kenya, but just come with us and allow God to shape your perspective of the world and His kingdom. Come to a country and a place that is different, where their culture is different, their food is different, the way that they celebrate is different, the wildlife and the world that they live in is vastly, vastly different. Come with us and allow God to begin to shape your worldview and how big the world is and how much bigger God's kingdom is. Students, perspective is powerful, and it will absolutely change and affect the way you live your life. Hey students, I am in the Segera region of Kenya, all the way in Africa. I wanted to introduce you to one of my best friends, literally in the entire world. This is Crispo Molel. He's one of my best friends, and he lives here. He's a community leader in Segera, and I want you to meet him, and he's got a little word for you.
Hi, Jambo. I'm so happy to be here with my brother, and I just praying that I'll see you very soon. Just come and see us. Come and see what the Lord is doing on this side. We are inviting you. We're inviting you, and we're waiting to see what the Lord is going to do in our lives. Karibu sana. You are so much welcome.
Come and see us, and you can tell Crispo's repping our ministry on the other side of the world. We're that famous. Awesome. Come and see us, and come see Crispo.
Karibu, karibu. Kuna matata.